Okay, so back in the day, back when I was called Pizza Loving Nerd instead of my real name on YouTube, you might remember this video if you're a real OG. It's 3 years old, but I made a video called I Found the Worst Linux Distro. And that video was about this distribution called LinuxFX, which was supposed to look like Windows, and it did a pretty good job at that, but it did a pretty shite job at just about everything else. My favorite highlight of this Linux distro is that it actually has a pro version that restricts a bunch of features that could easily be free under a paywall. And if you purchase this, it put it in a totally unsecured SQL database that apparently was very easy to dump with just one command here. So this one command dumped their entire SQL database and leaked customer information. Also, from this data leak, they claimed to have over 1 million users, but there were 200 entries in their machines table, which apparently collected data on every single machine that ran it, including their IP address and their IP geolocation, things like that. And it got even funnier because instead of actually fixing it, they just made it so that you couldn't analyze the SQL data on a LinuxFX system by making it so you can't activate LinuxFX using the sudo command. Deadass. And you could easily work around this and dump the customer data again by just using PolicyKit through the pk execute command instead of sudo. You can't make this up. Now, to try and get around their reputational damage, they ended up rebranding LinuxFX to be Wubuntu. And Wubuntu again does similar methods where the activator just doesn't work if anything containing BP, which is one of the tools they did to dump the database entries, or STAP or System Trap. I don't actually know what that is, but I guess it could be a hacking tool that they used. Apparently, this activator calls to two sites using curl that contains the database with its type, port, host, and username, and a second unencrypted HTTP endpoint to get the database password. This is just hilarious. And so now they've dropped the Wubuntu branding and they have new branding called Winux. Anyways, this is the new website, and I just wanted to install this in a virtualized environment because there's no way in hell I'm installing this on bare metal with their past history with security. And we're just going to do a quick look around. Okay, this is hilarious. When you download it on SourceForge and it redirects you to the project overview, Winux is a super secure Linux operating system inspired by Windows. I beg to differ on the super secure part. Okay, so we are now booted into the Winux 11 LTS desktop. It looks quite a bit like Windows, but let's head over to the installer here. So it looks like the installer is just standard Calamaris. Yep. We're going to breeze through the installation here. Nothing too crazy for the installation here. All right, the installation is now done. It did take quite a while, but that could be the virtual machine. So let's just reboot right here. All right, and we are now in Winux. Now, on boot, it displayed me with this window here, which is the system settings, which actually looks just like Windows. And it's giving me the option to apply Windows 11 Light, Black, or Twilight. And then there's also Windows 10 Light, Black, and Twilight, and Red Sand 11. So this theme right here is going to be Windows 11 Light. We got Windows 11 Black right here, and then Twilight is just Dark OS Light Windows. And then let's go to the Windows 10 Light mode right here, and as you can see, we get this little setup. And then let's check out the Red Sand 11. Okay, this is the Windows 11 theme, except now you're getting a different icon theme. I don't really know if I like this, and it's not really applied consistently throughout the whole UI. There's quite a few missing icons. Ew, I hate these window buttons. I'm going to set it to Windows 11 Black. Now that we have our theme set, I just wanted to look through the rest of system settings. So this really does look like the Windows 11 settings, but then as soon as you click a lot of the modules, that's when things start to become less immersive. So the display settings right here just opens up some random KDE settings tool here. If we go to sound, that opens up KDE settings. Multitasking, KDE settings. It seems like we have a remote desktop option here, but if we click that, it opens up Microsoft Edge. It just downloaded the dev file for AnyDesk. Like, at least install it for me. Come on. We have an activation tool right here. It wants me to spend $20 to pay for Power Tools Pro because I think it comes with a 7-day trial. It's actually not letting me click on the usage agreement right here. So, okay, so according to ZDNet, if you're using Wubuntu at least, you will get a persistent pop-up asking you to enter a product key for Power Tools if you do not activate it within a week. Now, I don't know if this also applies to Winux, but considering that Winux is a rebranding of Wubuntu / LinuxFX, that wouldn't surprise me at all. And yeah, this settings app looks cool, but as soon as you click on literally anything, it's a random KDE feature. Okay, what makes this more egregious is I actually cannot find a way to access KDE Plasma settings. So like, what if I want to... There we go. So you have to run Plasma open settings in the terminal in order to even get to KDE's settings tool. How is this distro even worse than last time I covered it? One thing I'm curious about on a decision they didn't make is it's using Breeze by default for the application style and everything. And I'm curious why they're doing that because there's literally Microsoft Fluent themes you can get in the KDE Plasma theming store. Now, it appears that the Windows-like theme that they're using is just a theme called Willow. So you can install this pretty easily on a normal Plasma desktop. Actually, let me know in the comments if you guys want me to make a video on how to make Plasma look like Windows 11. Now, to me, hiding the Plasma settings is super bad because there's a lot of settings in here that is not in Power Tools that you may need. So it's honestly really egregious to me that they ended up hiding the Plasma settings. All right, enough of the settings. Let's actually look around at the desktop. So this start menu does look exactly like Windows 11 here, but just without the ads, which is a good thing. This does appear to be a custom LinuxFX made start menu. So at least as far as I know, they aren't just using a random Plasma widget, but they could have modified this and it could be a fork of something else. I'm not sure. Now let's see what apps we have pre-installed. So it comes with this 4K video downloader tool, which I actually have encountered before. But if we open this tool up, this is not a free tool. You can do some downloads for free, but you only get a certain amount of daily downloads and you have to upgrade to increase your limit. I'm curious if there's some sort of affiliate marketing happening, but I don't have time to figure that out. We have Active Directory apparently. So you apparently can join a domain with this, although it kind of appears to be broken. Right here we have Android. I'm assuming this is going to be Waydroid. Power Tools did not find any Android image. Would you like to download? Yes. And we got a divide by zero error. Okay. This could be broken because I am in a virtualized environment, but this doesn't look like to be the reason why, because this looks like an error with the GUI version. Oh yeah, it is an error with the GUI because it doesn't happen at all until I go to this Android settings tab. I think last time I made a video on LinuxFX, I did just figure out that it opens up QEMU with an Android image. So for some reason, they are shipping the GNOME calculator on KDE. I don't know why they're doing that, especially because it's using the Yaru theme since this is Ubuntu based. It does come with the Heroic Games Launcher. It's mostly just KDE apps. We do have the online version of Microsoft Office. However, all that does is open an Edge tab. So it would have been nice if they used some sort of site-specific browser tool to make it feel like a window, but no, that just launches Edge. We got Microsoft PowerShell here, which, damn, this is actually PowerShell? I didn't know that was on Linux. And it just opens it up in KDE Terminal. This is a very bloated system, though. Tons of apps pre-installed that you do not need, like all of these Microsoft Office Online shortcuts, because we also do have OnlyOffice, which I actually, for a lot of people, recommend OnlyOffice over something like LibreOffice. I don't know why it's so huge. Turn that down to 100. But yeah, do check out OnlyOffice because it's very good with DocX compatibility. And in the real world, that's going to be the file format you're using. No one's using ODT. We have a remote desktop client, which this is from 2004. Is this VNC? It's not giving me any good advice on what this is. This is very bloated. We do have Steam pre-installed. We have Thunderbird. We have VLC. Oh, and then we have a tool called Winboat, and this actually lets you run a virtualized version of Windows inside of a Docker container, and then it's supposed to integrate with your system. That is a cool project, so you can check that out. And then WinVer just opens up NeoFetch in a terminal. Oh, and it opens this up. Now we have a little widgets thing right here. This just opens up the KDE widgets tool, whereas on Windows, this would actually open up real widgets, not a button to add widgets. And I also don't need this button to add widgets at all times. And then this weather button is just a little indicator. It could easily be over here. We have a Copilot button, which opens up a Microsoft Edge web app of Copilot. Now I'm curious. I have a Copilot button on my laptop. Does it open Copilot? No, it doesn't. The search here just opens up KRunner. And then this workspace button is not how workspaces work in Windows. And the stupid thing about this is just from changing this shortcut from show desktop grid to overview. So I don't really know why they're doing that. I also don't know why there's these window icons around on my desktop here. So it looks like it's bugged. Maybe that's why they didn't use this. Outside of that, this whole distro is just Kubuntu with a really good Windows theme and also partial risk of your data getting leaked. I'm gonna be honest, the last time I tried this, I did have a lot of stability issues. What the hell just happened? What? Quality.
A few moments later.
Okay. What the hell is going on? I'm actually confused. It is a lot more stable than it used to be in my short 20-minute period playing around with it, but it does do some really brain dead things like hide the KDE settings tool and replace it with a settings tool that just opens up settings from the KDE tool that they hid. And again, you have to activate this distro as if it's Windows. It's also just a very bloated distribution. There's way too much stuff pre-installed that is unneeded, and it seems to have a huge over-reliance on these web shortcuts, not even just with the Microsoft Office stuff right here, but even going into the settings where the remote desktop button just downloads a .deb for any desk. Even weird choices like using the GNOME calculator on KDE, I don't understand at all. And so with that, do not download this distro, and let me know if you want a video on how to make KDE look like Windows 11. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.